that came out. We did What's Going Down yesterday. We talked about Daniel Bryan and the match from SmackDown, where we might see him next. And the news came from Fightful, from Sean Ross Sapp. Bryan had not spoken openly about his contract status, nor did he give any public farewells in the locker room on Friday night, which would suggest he has no intention of leaving WWE. But his contract quietly expired last Friday on the day of his match with Reigns. Fightful added that their sources indicate Bryan has been vocal about doing unconventional work with and for WWE, something he had previously discussed elsewhere in interviews. So what do you make of this? I mean, as of now, he's kind of not under contract. Odds are he's going to stick with the company, he's going to do something else. But, we've been in this game long enough, Finn, to know that, sometimes people can throw you a curveball and do something unexpected.
Yeah, I don't think Bryan's going to. I mean, he's been with his company now, what is it, over 11 years, isn't it? Actually, more like 11 and a half years. He signed late 2009. I mean, he had to retire for a few years due to head injuries, or serious head injury, rather. And then they allowed him to make the comeback. And I know WWE at the time was very concerned about him potentially leaving WWE and wrestling elsewhere. And that was one of the reasons why they were so insistent, that he stay with the company, and they continue paying him and treating him like a star and everything, because they didn't want him going elsewhere. And they were probably deep down hoping that he would one day be cleared to return as well, which of course he was. When was that? Was that 2000 and... Which year was that? Was that
2018? 2018, yeah, because he announced his return in the March to come back at that year's WrestleMania 34.
That's right. So I mean, I think he's happy with WWE. I mean, he does what he wants there. I mean, he's on his own schedule even before COVID. So it seems implausible to me that he would want to work anywhere else. Although I have seen that there's already massive amounts of fantasy booking out there of what Bryan might do next. What Bryan's going to do next, in my opinion, is take some time off, and when he's good and ready, return to WWE. That's what's going to happen. What do you think, Kenny?
Yeah, I think that's what the odds are. I mean, look, he's playing the game, let's be honest, because he did talk in an interview recently about how he thinks Kenny Omega is the best wrestler in the world, and Kenny Omega does things that he just, can't compute that are done. And, I think he's doing that for a reason. I think he's, giving people something to talk about. But at the end of the day, I think he is going to go with where the money is. I think if he wasn't married with kids, maybe he would feel differently. Maybe he would do something else. But if he knows what he's getting, he knows the deal. He's going to get a lot of money to wrestle not very often. So I think he will stay. I do hope though that when he comes back, that there's better sort of creative for him in terms of, like, because we've talked about this before, the fact that he lost so much kind of in the lead up to WrestleMania early in the year did kind of make him not feel as big of a name when he was in that WrestleMania main event as maybe he could have. So I guess it'll be interesting to see where they slot him. We talked about we'd like to see him in NXT. He could also do pretty well on Raw. But I don't. Maybe it is time for Daniel Bryan to go heel again at some point soon, because he was so good as a heel in 2018, 2019 that it would be fun to see him do that role again. I don't know how he would do it, or if he would be with someone, if he'd be on his own. But I think he showed there that as a heel he could do some really good stuff.
Yeah, I agree. And I thought that ended abruptly, and I thought there was so many more mountains for him to climb as a villain with that, character that he was playing, Mr. Climate Change, we can't do these things. And I remember one time he was at the announce desk and he was just absolutely ripping into Byron Saxton, and it was just hilarious. It was so funny. I just feel like, there's so many more things he can do with that character than he can as a babyface. But there again, maybe people don't want to boo him, Kenny. He's so popular. We saw that last week on SmackDown in the match with Roman Reigns. I mean, sometimes it's difficult to tell how much of the noise that's coming through the LED boards in the Thunderdome is genuine, or do they turn the volume up at certain times? It's hard to gauge. It's hard to know what's genuine and what isn't. But assuming that was real, there was so much support for Bryan in his match with Roman Reigns on Friday. I mean, I know the stakes were high, so there was going to be. But I mean, certainly at WrestleMania as well, the triple threat match with Reigns, Bryan, and Edge was very well received on the night.